We will settle in. Happy Monday. So, just something that allows you to be at ease here. And let's just feel into the way that we're able to respirate. Think about emptying the lungs each time that you exhale. Really feel that full emptying of the lungs. Give ourselves about 30 more seconds here. And when it feels appropriate for you, let's let our eyes open if they are closed. Let's plant the hands palms down on our legs, on our thighs, wherever the thighs are laid out. And then just keeping the hands planted with equivalent energy on both legs. Let's just turn towards the left shoulder. And then we'll relax back to neutral. And then same thing, just equivalent energy towards the right shoulder. And we'll relax back to neutral. Now let's take the left hand behind us, palm facing away. So back of the hand pressed up against the back. Right hand stays anchored, and we're just going to turn towards that left shoulder. And relax back to neutral. And then we'll switch. Left hand plants, right hand behind us, and we'll turn towards the right shoulder. And we'll relax back to neutral. Let's transition to hands and knees tabletop. And we'll set that base position up. Splay the fingers out nice and wide and really think about how we can energize the hands here. And let's mobilize the spine. So with an exhale, just push the middle of the back up, tuck the chin, tuck the tailbone. And with an inhale, we'll reverse. Drop the belly, lift the tailbone, lift the chin. And then let's just move with our breath. As you exhale out, you round the back, you tuck the tailbone, you tuck the chin. And as you inhale, you drop the belly, lift the tailbone, lift the chin. And we'll just move through this a few times at our own respiration rate. Maybe one more time in each direction here. And eventually we'll make our way back to a neutral spine and we'll sink our way back into child's pose. Just let your weight settle into this child's pose. Feel the hips receive that loading energy as the weight shifts back. Pay attention to how the lumbar responds here. give ourselves about 20 more seconds just to land and settle here. And when it feels appropriate, let's pull our way forward to hands and knees, tabletop. We'll once again find that base position, then curl your toes underneath you, and we'll lift our seat back into down dog. And as we feel the hips elevate here, once again, load the pressure back into the hips. See if you can get that same weight shift that we had in child's pose here in down dog. And maybe you pedal this out a little bit. We feel some expression of the posterior chain. And then eventually, when it feels appropriate for you, let's walk our way forward into fold. We'll find the fold at the front of the mat. And as you relax into this fold, pay attention to where the weight is getting distributed in the feet. And think about balancing that out between the toe mounds and the heels. So you splay the toes out, you really activate the energy of the feet. And then think about keeping that weight distribution equivalent as you roll yourself up vertebrae by vertebrae. Eventually, no rush to make this happen. Eventually, the head and neck lift and we find our way into mountain. And in mountain, just inhale and bring your hands together at heart center. And relax across the shoulder girdle. Think about how the shoulder girdle can broaden out. And without losing any of the torso depth or the torso dimension, just soften the shoulder girdle. Maintain a little bit of core engagement. And then maintain the hands at heart center. Let's slide our left foot straight back into lunge. And as that left foot lands, think about energizing the left toe mound and the right foot with an equivalent amount of energy. And think about the strength of the left quad and firing up that quad musculature. And then let's inhale and sweep the arms up and overhead. So we get that lift and expansiveness. And then relax across the shoulder girdle once again so that the depth of the breath is as easy as possible. And then we'll drop the hands to heart center and we'll step to the front of the mat. And reorient this mountain pose. Really establish the strength of mountain. And then when you feel ready, we'll take this to the second side. Right foot slides straight back. As the right foot lands, we think about balancing the weight distribution between the front and back foot. We think about the strength of the right quad here so that that back leg is an active piece of this shape. And then once you feel like you've built the foundation of the shape, let's inhale and sweep the arms up and overhead. We'll fully express our crescent here. Really thinking about the strength of that shape. And then let's drop our hands to heart center and we'll step to the front of the mat. Inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. And exhale through forward fold. As you fold, once again, think about the hip hinge, releasing you into this fold, and then just relax. Not only the shoulder girdle here, relax the entirety of the torso into the depth of this fold. And see if as you exhale, the head can get just a little bit closer to the floor mat. And then let's inhale into half lift. Get that big elongation. Exhale back into fold. We'll plant our hands and we'll walk our way back into down dog. A little bit harder to get the weight to shift back here. So really think about loading the hip weight, even if that means you need to bend the knees pretty significantly. Really think about how we can get our weight into our hips. And then let's come down to hands and knees tabletop. And we'll once again flip the tops of the feet and sink our way into child's pose. Coming back into child's pose, post a little bit of movement. See if you can find a little bit more ease and depth here. There's this very wealthy aristocrat with this very beautifully manicured property. In the center of this property, there's this giant home, this giant 3-story home. But the pride and joy of this property is the grounds, is the garden. And the entire property is outlined by this wrought iron fence. So from every angle, this property, these grounds can be admired. Let's give ourselves 30 more seconds here. Loading the weight in the hips and feeling the ease here. And when it feels appropriate for you, let's pull ourselves forward to hands and knees tabletop. And from hands and knees tabletop, once again, curl your toes, lift your seat, and find your way back into down dog. As you get into down dog, maybe we pedal the calves out a little bit here. We explore that posterior chain length and that depth. And then when it feels appropriate for you, let's walk ourselves forward to forward fold. And we'll inhale into half lift and exhale back into fold. Release and relax into the depth of your fold. Really try to let your body go here. Then we drift our awareness to our sacrum and let's roll ourselves up vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming back into our mountain shape and bringing our hands together at heart center. When it feels appropriate for you, let's slide our right foot straight back into lunge. And as the right foot lands, think about the strength in the feet, splaying the toes out wide, building the activation in the foundation. Think about the quad strength in both legs. And let's ground our right heel and open up into warrior two. As the arms expand out, palms down here for the moment, think about the strength across the shoulder girdle and particularly across the posterior chain of the shoulder girdle. So that subscapula musculature, really think about how we broaden there. And then let's roll the palms up. So thumbs roll over. And as the hands turn over, pay attention to how all of that musculature across the shoulder girdle changes. And then soften back so that the palms can face down once again. Spin your right heel up and sweep both arms up into crescent. And then exhale and slowly release the hands down to the mat. And we'll step the right foot forward and find fold. And just inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Relaxing at the belt line here. Thinking about how you can soften here. And then drift your awareness to your sacrum. Let's roll ourselves up vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming back into our mountain. Establishing the foundation of this shape first. We get vertical and we think about that verticality. Hands come together at heart center if they're not already. We just maintain this organization. And then the left foot's going to slide straight back. As the left foot lands, we develop the foundation. We think about the feet and the toes. Think about the activity of that connection and the quads and their engagement. And then eventually we'll ground the left heel and roll to warrior two. And the shoulders are broad once again. The palms are down. We're thinking about this big, strong shoulder girdle. Pay attention to the shoulder girdle as you roll the palms up so that they can face towards the ceiling or sky. And just note how the entirety of the shoulder girdle has to change to do that. And then same thing as we roll back so that the palms can face down. All of the musculature involved across that shoulder girdle. Then the left heel spins up, arms reach up into the sky. We find that reconnection with crescent. And then slowly float the hands down to the mat. And we'll step the left foot forward and into fold. Inhale into half lift. Long spine. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands. Let's walk to down dog. Get the weight back into the hips. Think about loading the hips. Maybe you pedal the calves out a bit here. Maybe we bend the knees a little bit here, but we want the weight to shift back. And then we're going to shift ourselves forward to plank and slowly, gently, delicately lower ourselves down to our belly. Hands are going to stay right where they are. So they're right underneath the shoulders here, but tuck and squeeze your elbows in towards your rib cage. So you think about the forearms running parallel with the torso here. Splay the fingers out as wide as you can get them. And then think about elongating the cervical spine. So crown of the head reaches towards the front of your mat. Like you're just trying to push the head beyond the edge of your mat. Flex your quads so your kneecaps lift. And really think about being this elongated version of yourself here. Now we're going to energize the lifting of the forehead, but do so in a way where we don't break the forehead's contact with the mat. So all we're going to try to do is lighten the pressure between our forehead and our mat. And then we're going to try to do the same thing with our hands so that the hands are lightly contacting the mat. So someone could slide a dollar bill underneath our hands, but they would have to force it because our hands are still touching the mat. And we're just gonna hold this for another 5 seconds here. And relax. Slide your hands underneath your forehead and we'll just breathe for a little crocodile pose here. Just a little opportunity for respiration and ease. One of the favorite things for the school children who walk past this mansion to do is to reach through the wrought iron fence and pick a flower on their way to or from school. And it's not just the school children that do this. Sometimes people on their way to work or on their way home from work will do the same thing. They'll reach in, they'll see a particularly beautiful flower, and they'll snatch it. And there's so many flowers, there's so much vegetative life that it really doesn't impact the aesthetic of this space. But at the same time, this aristocrat who spends a lot of time up in his 3rd-story library looks down and he sees this happening, and he sees it happening daily and almost constantly. And it just becomes this point of frustration in his life. We'll give ourselves just 15 more seconds here. When it feels appropriate for you, let's slide our hands in front of us if they're not already there. And then we will pull ourselves forward to hands and knees, tabletop. And from tabletop, once again, splay the fingers out wide, feel the hands connect to the mat, and then let's curl our toes, lift our seat, and find our way into down dog. And in down dog, let's get our weight back into our hips. Really drive energetically back into the hips, and then we'll walk our way to the front of the mat. And at the front of the mat, just inhale and find a half lift. And then we'll exhale back into fold. Drift our awareness to our sacrum. We'll roll or sweep our way up into mountain. Eventually finding our way to this vertical alignment and thinking about the way in which we orient ourselves vertically, the glute engagement required, the quad engagement required, the abdominal engagement required, the broadness across the shoulder girdle. Let's bring our hands together at heart center. And we'll slide our left foot straight back into lunge. Left foot's gonna land, and we're gonna really tune into the orientation of our shoulders and our hips. We want both the shoulders and the hips to be pointed straight forward, and we're gonna maintain that alignment, so shoulders and hips pointed straight forward as we ground our left heel and drive energetically into the weight distribution between the front and back foot as we sweep our arms up and overhead for warrior one. And so right now, we're really thinking about torso orientation straight forward with that back leg rotated, feeling how the femoral head rotation sits and how that lateral edge of the left foot is holding equivalent weight to the medial edge, big toe edge and pinky toe edge. And then let's spin our left heel back up and we'll refine crescent. And then drop your hands and we'll step to the front of the mat. And in your mountain here, hands settle at heart center, and take your elbows and point them out towards the edges of the room so that we feel the shoulder adjustment there. And then once you get the elbows pointed out towards the edges of the room, squeeze the scapula back and try to really activate that whole shoulder shelf. And then splay the toes out wide, anchor the feet, and let's sink back into chair. So we're gonna keep the arms out wide, or the elbows out wide, the arms active, and we sink the seat back into chair. Remember, we wanna drive the hips back, tibia and fibula stay vertical. And let's rise back to mountain. And as you come into mountain, relax the elbows and see if you can maintain the shoulder width. And then when it feels appropriate for you, we're gonna do the same thing to the second side. Right foot slides straight back. Right foot lands. We think about the orientation of the shoulders and the hips. Railroad tracks straight forward. We maintain that as we ground our right heel. Hips and shoulders pointed straight forward. We're thinking about that anterior hip crease on the back leg, on the right leg here. And we're thinking about maintaining that activation on the hip crease on the front leg. Think about the foot balance or the weight distribution balance in the feet. And then when it feels appropriate for you, we are going to spin the right heel up. We'll sweep the arms up and overhead. We'll reconnect to crescent. And then we'll drop the hands and step to the front of the mat. Hands coming together at heart center. We're gonna once again take those elbows out towards the edges of the room and then retract the scapula so we bring that shoulder shelf into play. Keep the awareness on the shoulder shelf, the elbows wide as you sink the seat back towards chair. Remember, this is like a hip hinge back, anterior hip crease pushing back. We're not pushing the knees forward, really driving that torso alignment. Yeah, nice, Heather. And then let's rise back to mountain. We'll sweep the arms up and overhead. Exhale through forward fold. As you get into this fold, let's take our right hand to our left elbow and our left hand to our right elbow. Drop the head into that little window frame you've created with your elbows and just start to rock a little side to side. And as you're rocking side to side here, think of each time you pass the center point, if your head can get just a little bit lower, if the fold can get just a little bit more depthful. Exhale and elongate and just about ease here. And then let's relax the hands. We'll inhale into half lift. Exhale back into fold. Plant your hands. Let's walk our way into down dog. Drive the weight back into the hips. Drive the energy back into the hips and load that hip space. Almost like someone's pulling you from behind and lifting you up towards the hips. And then let's shift back to plank. And we'll slowly, gently, delicately lower ourselves to our belly. We're going to once again maintain the hands right where they are, underneath the shoulders. Then squeeze the elbows in. Flex the quads so the kneecaps lift. Squeeze the glutes as much as need be so that the low back feels receptive to the shape. More glute squeeze, the easier time the low back for most of us. And then we are going to bring that awareness back to lifting the forehead. This time we're going to break contact with the mat with the forehead. So think about creating like a millimeter of space between your forehead and the mat. And then the hands are going to go to that same light lift. So the hands are still touching the mat, but they're touching the mat softly enough that we can slide a dollar bill underneath them. So we have a lot of energy here in the upper back. We have a lot of energy here in the shoulder girdle. And then we have this big anterior lift as the forehead peels away from the mat. We're just going to hold this for 3 more seconds. Relax. Slide your hands underneath your forehead for a little crocodile pose. And we just breathe into this. So one day, this aristocrat is up in his library all day, and he counts 15 people that have reached through the wrought iron fence and picked a flower. And it, in many ways, mentally breaks him. He snaps. He calls up a contractor, and he says he wants the wrought iron torn down, and he wants a 6-foot stone wall built around the entirety of the property. And so the contractor, is like, well, that's not going to be a cheap thing to do. We can do it. Are you sure? This wrought iron fence is quite beautiful, and these grounds are quite beautiful, and everyone enjoys them. And the aristocrat says, I want the stone wall. Build it. And so this contractor starts doing exactly that. Give ourselves just 10 more seconds here. And when it feels appropriate for you, let's slide our hands underneath our shoulders if they're not there, and then we'll press ourselves up to hands and knees, tabletop. And reestablish the foundation tabletop. Think about the fingers being wide, the knees being directly under that hip hinge. And then slide your left foot straight back so that the left toe mound connects to the mat. And move your right hand so that it is center of the mat. So we have a big, strong engagement on that left side, right hand center of the mat. And we're just going to roll the left hip open. Left hand can reach up towards the ceiling or sky. Energize down into the pinky toe edge of the left foot. And then note where the weight distribution is in the right hand. We don't want that all in the heel of the hand. So think about the fingerprints, the finger mound. Give yourself just 5 more seconds here. And then we'll relax the left hand down. Bring that left knee back underneath you. And reestablish your tabletop. And let's do the same thing to the second side. So the right foot's going to extend straight back. The left hand's going to come to the middle of the mat. The right hand's going to ground. And your right hand is going to reach towards the ceiling space here. Really thinking about wide shoulder girdle, energizing down into the pinky toe edge of the right foot. And once again, weight is not dumped into the heel of the left hand. We have that strength throughout that left hand. And then when it feels appropriate, when you feel balanced, right hand comes back down to the mat. Right knee comes back underneath you. Curl your toes, lift your seat, and roll your way back into down dog. Energize back into down dog here. Get the weight back into the hips. Think about how you can load that hip musculature with more energy. And then let's take our left leg and extend it straight back and behind us. Nice three-legged dog here. Drive the length between the hands and that back foot. And then step your left foot forward into lunge. Left foot lands. We'll sweep ourselves up and into crescent. Arms reach overhead. Point the palms towards one another. And draw breath up into the top third of the lungs and broaden out across the shoulder girdle. At the same time, don't allow your lumbar to arch forward, so lock down the abdominals and draw like a big, wide torso. And then drop your hands to heart center. Ground your right heel and roll open to 2. Blossom into that wide shoulder girdle. And then keeping the palms down, retract the scapula back. And try to think about the shoulder girdle here operating as one big piece of musculature. Obviously, it's many individual pieces of overlaying musculature, but try to lock this into one piece. And then keeping that front knee bend, we're gonna head to side angle. So you're gonna bring that left hand down, left hand down towards that front foot. And really think about operating the shoulder girdle as one big full piece here. And then we'll tilt ourselves back up to warrior 2. Sweep the right heel up and the arms overhead to reconnect to crescent. And then drop your hands down to the mat. And we'll step our left foot back and into down dog. And once again, drive the weight back into the hips. Think about loading the weight back so that we get that full depth of the shape. And then when it feels appropriate, let's move to side 2. Right leg extends straight back and behind us. We draw that length in three-legged dog. We extend back and we drive space between the hands and the back foot. And then we'll step the right foot forward and into lunge. As the right foot lands, let's sweep ourselves up into crescent. We elevate and extend the torso here, palms facing towards one another, and think about broadening out across the shoulder girdle as you draw the breath up into the top third of the lungs. Then ground your left heel and roll to 2. And we think about locking in. So palms are down, but we squeeze the scapula back and really think about locking in the full shoulder girdle like it's one big piece. And then let's tilt our way to side angle. Right hand comes down. You can bring that towards the right quad or you can go towards that right foot. But we're getting our way into side angle and we're tilting this shoulder structure, this big locked shoulder structure. The more we lock in the shoulder structure, the more lateral expansion we can pull out of this shape, the more intercostal space we can create in this shape. And then when you feel balance left to right, we'll draw ourselves back to 2. Reorient the spine vertically. Then spin the back heel up, sweep both arms up and overhead for crescent. We'll slowly, gently, delicately lower our hands down to the mat and step back into down dog. And as the weight gets back into down dog here, try to feel the extra shoulder space here. Try to feel the extra shoulder girdle space and then into the intercostal space so the torso has the ability to elongate. Drive that elongation back into hip depth. And then think about keeping that torso space as you shift yourself forward to plank. And then let's slowly, gently, delicately lower ourselves down to the mat. We'll keep the hands right underneath our shoulders. And we'll squeeze those elbows in so that the forearms can run parallel with the torso. Engage the quads so that the kneecaps lift. And we're going to lift the forehead. This time, we're going to lift the forehead between 1.5 millimeters. So that's a lot of room considering how small our movements have been this far. Don't move more than what feels right. Remember that glute squeeze can help build the structure or the shape for the lumbar spine. So if the lumbar spine feels like it's compressing, first thing is we glute squeeze. If that's not resolving, lower the forehead. And now let's lighten the pressure in the hands so that the hands can come 1 millimeter off the mat. At the same time, we're going to allow ourselves to fully breathe, to fully respirate. We're going to hold this for one more inhale, one more exhale. And then when you're complete, you can relax, slide your hands underneath your forehead for a little crocodile pose, and be at ease here. Just settling in here in a way that allows your body to receive what we've done thus far. Give ourselves about 30 more seconds here. Just feeling into the torso elongation, to the shoulder space. And then when it feels appropriate, let's slide our hands back underneath our shoulders. We'll press ourselves back to hands and knees tabletop. And in tabletop, we're going to reconnect our breath to our cat-cow and give ourselves the opportunity just to compare and contrast to what we've done, to if there's more room, to if there's more space. So as you exhale out, tuck the chin, round the spine, tuck the tailbone. And as you inhale, drop the belly, lift the chin, lift the tailbone. And we're just going to move back and forth between these two shapes. Really delicately. Just trying to feel how we've changed our spine's ability to articulate flexion and extension. And let's just give ourselves 2 more movements in each direction. So 4 more total movements. No rush to complete. Really use the full duration of your breath in each direction. Whenever you do get yourself back to neutral after that fourth movement, let's just extend our legs out in front of us. And as we extend the legs, just follow that extension forward into a fold. Remember, the knees can bend here. We're just looking for a little space here. So eventually, after quite a significant amount of expense and quite a significant amount of time, the stone wall is finished. And it essentially instantaneously ends the picking of flowers from this aristocrat's yard. Grounds, really. What it doesn't do is it doesn't prevent the sound of people walking by, having conversations. It doesn't prevent the sound of children playing. And now that the aristocrat's yard is a more private space, he finds himself spending less time up in the library and more time out on the grounds. And he finds a shocking amount of disruption from hearing voices on the other side of this stone fence. Almost like it's much worse because he can't see the people that are there. So these voices like sneak up on him in a way. When it feels appropriate for you, as it feels appropriate for you, let's find our way back to staff. And then we're going to lower ourselves onto our spine. And as you land here, just allow for your body to receive what we've done thus far. Just allow for just a little bit of time here. And when it feels appropriate for you, let's bring our knees into a bent position if they're not already there. Arms can come out towards cactus or T. And we're just going to let the knees start to sway here. And sway at your discretion. So if that means it's a full rotation, wonderful. If it's something less, also perfect. Just moving into these twists, rotations, lateral movements, kind of listening to your body as the guide. Next time that the knees fall over to the left, let's let them settle and stay there. And so this aristocrat decides he's going to do something even more drastic than the stone fence around his giant mansion of a house. He's going to have a contractor come in and essentially cut a hole in the middle of the house through all 3 floors so there can be a big open courtyard in the center. He thinks that this will provide the peace and tranquility that he's kind of been searching for. He's appreciated his time outdoors now, but these voices leaping over the fence are disrupting his peace. And so he has this contractor come in and they cut a hole in the center of his house. It is a massive engineering project, but it gets done. When it feels appropriate for you, let's bring our knees back to neutral. And then we'll let the knees fall over to the second side. And the other thing he has done is he has this huge iron door put on with this huge locking latch mechanism. And the door is 3 inches thick and it is solid and it is essentially soundproof. And it's everything he wanted. And now he can lock that door, he can go to his courtyard, and he can just finally enjoy this tranquility of this beautiful property that he has. When it feels appropriate for you, when you feel balanced left to right, we'll bring our knees back to neutral. And we'll just ask ourselves if there's anything that we might want, that we might need, that we might benefit from prior to Shavasana. And if there is anything, let's offer that to ourselves now. If you have everything you want, if you have everything you need, if you're ready for some stillness, and let's just drift into a shape where we can appreciate some stillness here. We'll be fully at ease. And so one morning, this aristocrat goes out into his courtyard. It had been raining all night, but the morning was clear and beautiful. And he slips on the cobblestone and he falls down and he breaks his hip. And he's unable to get up. He starts to crawl towards the front door, screaming out for help. And when he gets to the front door, the locking mechanism is so high, it's out of his reach. And he's screaming out for help. And as luck would have it, there's a royal passing by in front of his house. And the royal is flanked by all these knights. And one of the knights hears this scream. And as he hears this scream for help, he dashes off in the direction of this house. We'll just fully and deeply settle in here. And this knight probably gets 2 or 3 steps in the direction of this aristocrat's house before the royal puts his hand up and says, "Hey, no." He points at the house and he says, "Anyone who's gone through that much trouble to keep us out doesn't want us involved." Knight and the royal continue on down the path, and the very faint screams of this aristocrat in his house go from very faint to non-existent very quickly. We'll start to bring some movement to our fingers and our toes. To our wrists and our ankles. To our elbows and our knees. Shoulders and our hips. Neck, head, jaw, eyes, tongue. Eventually, the whole body can move, and we'll utilize that movement to transition back into a seat. And in this seated space, let your spine get tall, breath fluid, eyes close. And we'll inhale our hands together, heart center. Over the course of the next 7 days, can you be vigilant that any walls you put up for protection don't become walls of imprisonment, and see how that impacts your experience. Thank you so much for being a part of this evening's practice and for being you. Namaste. Happy Monday. Appreciate the heck out of you being here, taking care of yourself. Have a beautiful rest of your week. And I will be back on Sunday for a little recharge. Bye.